Welcome, everybody, to the F4 Hunger Awareness Show.
It's my goal to feed 1 billion people before I die.
We want to bring awareness around the issue of hunger and food insecurity.
7 to 8 million people served so far. With the sole goal of eradicating world hunger by connecting sources of food to recipients in need. Fiorenza's Food for Friends.
Hi, Derek Fiorenza here on the F4 Hunger Awareness Show, and I'm excited today. I'm here with a very special guest, Kyle Ciarrocchi. He is with the band Riko and Whaler Collective. It might be several bands, right, Kyle? Several bands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So several bands. So we'll be talking about that today. I've been working with Kyle's family. His mom Stacy and I have been supporting the Hungry in Chester County for over 10 years. She actually was on our board at one point, and she is very involved in the annual F4 Westchester Chili Cook-Off, which we'll be covering today. She's been helping us out a lot as we organize all of the bands and the various vendors. But today, just want to welcome you, Kyle. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Derek. Really great to be here.
So, Kyle, you're an amazing musician. I've played with you when you were a kid. You were
Yeah.
13 or 14 at the time. We did
Yeah.
a rock fundraiser at Tee It Up Golf years ago in Westchester. And I was blown away then by how talented you are. I've heard you now since, and you do have a gift. I do believe that. I think you have a gift from God. Your ability, you're a maestro on the guitar. You just have an ear for music. How did you get started on your music journey, Kyle?
Oh yeah. Well, thank you first off, Derek. Great to be here with you. And yeah, so I got started early on, growing up in my family was super into music, especially my dad. He's a big Grateful Dead fan, a Deadhead as they get called. And yeah, so growing up, since I was literally have any memories of anything at all, I remember my dad listening to the Dead all the time. He had all the CDs, all the DVDs, cassettes. So I'd walk in any time to hang out with my dad growing up, and pretty much consistently, anytime there was Jerry Garcia jamming on the TV, and that was a big deal for me. Just seeing those, uh, all those shows and all those awesome jazzy kind of rock solos and everything that Jerry did with the Dead, and that was definitely a big influence on me in guitar. Funny enough, there's a picture my mom took of me when I was like 2 or 3, holding this like little toy guitar in front of the TV with Jerry Garcia on it, jamming, like I was saying, with my dad watching. Um, so yeah, that was a big part of it. Music's always been around in the family in that way. No one ever played music in my family, which was interesting because I know a lot of my musician pals, like they have parents or brothers or whatever that were into music in the playing sense. But no, I was kind of the catalyst of that in my own way for myself and my family's musical tree, But yeah, so that was a big part of it. And growing up, I got more into rock music that my dad was listening to, stuff like the Beatles. I remember I was like, oh, like, who's the best? And he's like, the Beatles. And I was like, oh yeah, like, okay. And and then I listened to him, and I was like, oh yeah, the Beatles. Wow. So love that stuff. And I got into Kiss actually too, the band Kiss,
Yeah.
at a very young age. I loved the get up and the show and the energy that they brought. So Ace Frehley from Kiss arguably was my first guitar influence, and I wanted to grow my hair long, like Ace Frehley from Kiss. And my first electric guitar I got was the same or similar looking one that Ace Frehley from Kiss used, and Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin too. But so that was a big thing. I got into Kiss and started taking lessons when I was in like 5th grade. I played sports for a while, but I dropped that eventually to go to full into music when I was about 15 or 14, and started doing the School of Rock and stuff, which was a great way to learn performance and kind of my performance chops and my I gained a sense of kind of well-being on stage that I carry with me to this day. It's weirdly kind of my safe space to perform. I really feel like it gets me to get to the next level and unleash my expression at the full range. But So that's been a great part. Doing School of Rock, all those performances kind of really solidified my love of music. And yeah, when I was in high school, started playing some shows in Westchester. Um, Fenario was a spot. It was a coffee shop, and they had an upstairs where they would host a lot of do-it-yourself, like DIY style shows. And that was where I brought my first band, Guam, to. We were a surf rock sound. We would play there all the time. And sure enough, started transitioning with our sound a little bit, getting a little more heavy, a little more experimental, and a little more into the Grateful Dead sense. And for a little while, we actually were uh, a Grateful Dead cover band called
Hmm.
Brand New Crescent Moon. Yeah, and so that kind of got us into the practice of jamming and improvising, learning songs a lot more meticulously, and that kind of transitioned over time to we would improvise more and more to where it wouldn't be the Dead, and it wouldn't be the Dead, and it would kind of be our own thing, and eventually we just ditched it and started what would be now the Riko and Whaler Collective. Yeah.
So Ace Philly and Jimmy Page, played the Les Paul Gibson.
Yeah, that's right. The Les Paul, and that was my first guitar. It was a Sunburst. It was an Epiphone, but it's my most played guitar to this day. Still, my first one, Epiphone Les Paul. I love it.
I think it's kind of hard to tell the difference between the two, the sounds. What do you think?
I agree. I think there's a huge price tag on Gibsons, but the quality has shifted over time. I think Epiphones are, and this is my strong opinion that will get some flack from people for sure, but I think Epiphones do perform just as well as Gibsons, sometimes better. Yes.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of it has to do with the amplifier you're using too?
Yes, for sure. I think tube amps are going to be if you're putting a tube amp with a humbucker pickup, which is what those Les Paul use, those fatter looking pickups. Oh, it screams! It absolutely screams. So I do think so. Yes,
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's amazing. So no one in your family played, but there certainly was a musical love in your family.
very much so. Yeah, music to this day. Everyone in my family, even though I'm the only one that plays music, everyone loves music very, very deeply. Always playing from someone's speaker, you know.
So when you were learning songs, did you use like tabs online? Were you listening by ear? How were you learning songs? You were learning meticulously the Grateful Dead, for
Yes.
example.
Yes. Yeah. So for a while, I was actually just learning by ear before I took any lessons or anything. And my dad had a friend of his that's from California who's also kind of in that Grateful Dead scene, but actually where it started in California, which is cool, but in the Bay Area. And he came over when I was, I don't know, 12 or something. And I was jamming on this little toy acoustic guitar I had while he was playing like his real guitar, and he looks at my dad and he's like, he's got the ear, man. Like he can hear what he's playing and he knows what he's playing. He knows how to play it. And he's like, get him lessons. Like he needs to get lessons. So eventually, yeah, like I said, I got lessons and I did learn how to read tab. I never quite learned how to read sheet music to this day. I even went to school in college at UArts where I did study music and took lessons again in college, and I still can't read music. I
Why?
faked my way through it through all of school. Yeah, and I'm talking like
Yeah.
notation, like sheet
Why do you
music.
think that is?
I mean, if you can jam, you can jam.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
if you can hear it, you play it from your heart, and I think that sometimes that's all the better. But
Yeah.
it also could just be just because I struggle to read things.
Gotcha. So you've taught yourself, maybe you had some lessons, but you've been teaching yourself through the years how to listen
Yes.
and then play. How did that translate to you writing? Do you write your own music too?
Yes, yes. I've been writing music really a little bit before college is when I started writing music, but I got more into it in college. Like I said, I went to University of the Arts, no longer exists, but songwriting classes were classes I took and really got into it there with kind of how to write an actual song as opposed to just like a little funny ditty of like, two parts or whatever. But I figured out really the weight of the words you're using and the uh the rate at which you're singing the words, like kind of the the tone of what you're using in the actual song when you're recording it and stuff like that. But yeah, I got really into songwriting, like I said, really in college, and honestly, similar thing to playing. though I did learn how to do it, a lot of writing is knowing a lot of theory, music theory, a lot of harmony, and to be honest, I've really just been winging it. I kind of when I write songs, I listen and I'll play some chords and I'll say, oh, that sounds really nice. Like maybe this one works, and it's like though according to theory, it's like this one doesn't necessarily work, but I'm like no, it works in my ear, and then it's nice because I'll bring those songs to some of my friends who are really well versed in music theory, and they're like, "Whoa, like how'd you do that? Like how'd you think of that?" I'm like, I don't know, you know. So it's fun like that, just experimenting and kind of skipping rocks and see which one skips the furthest. But I've been loving songwriting. I play like I was saying earlier, I play now in Riko and Whaler Collective, where a lot of the songs we write we'll kind of improvise and we'll get together and we'll kind of jam some ideas and some riffs, and someone will say, well, why don't you do this after that, and they're like, oh yeah, that's cool, like, oh no, not that one but this, and we kind of workshop it off the fly, and I think that's kind of what's given Rico and Whaler that very kind of free-flowing psychedelic sound with our songs. But with something like my other band, So Long Surfer, I've been playing with, which is kind of my Beach Boys, Beatles outlook or output for my artistic love of that side of music as well. And with that, it is a little more meticulous and a little more thought out and maybe more songy, where it's like, okay, this it's two verses, a pre-chorus, and a chorus. Um, Repeat, a very pop song. Anyone can dig it, which is great because I love to make music that anyone can enjoy that still is coming from my heart and isn't just like selling out or anything. So it's been fun in that way. Um, but but yeah, it's a fun experiment to kind of have both of those avenues as well, where it's a little more poppy, and then as opposed to the Rico and Whaler stuff, where it's like I have no idea what's gonna happen next, and neither does the listener. So
Yeah. When you write a song, do you do the chords first or do you do the words first?
mm, it's a mix of both. Um, Sometimes we'll have a riff that will come along and we'll say, how does this make us, what is this, what emotion does this evoke, or what story are we trying to tell here with the sonic kind of palette we're dealing with, and we'll add lyrics after that typically. But recently we've been writing our newest album for Rico and Whaler, and we did write the lyrics first, so we're trying to experiment in that way to see, okay, now how can the lyrics and the words and the poetry of what we're trying to portray influence the music, because we've done the other way, so we're going to see how we can do it this way now.
Now, when you're writing a song, I know that you do a lot of soloing. Do you have to remember each note, or if you do the song 10 times, you're playing a similar solo, but you're not playing necessarily the same solo fill?
More so the latter there, I would say. More so it would be because to be 100% honest, never played the same solo twice. We, even recording, and my bandmates will get mad at me sometimes about it, but they're like, "Why didn't you write a solo?" I'm like, "Oh, I just gotta feel it. It's gotta be what's in the moment." And that could hurt or help me sometimes. But I think so far it's been kind of part of our style, and which has been helping us, I guess. But um, yeah, no, that's part of the fun about being in a band that's heavy on the improvisation. Is any moment on stage is a new moment to us, which is exciting, and it keeps us flowing in new ways, and kind of brings me to be able to play in a very present way and remain very present, which I was kind of talking about earlier, is sort of like therapy to me. Really, it's my space where I get to really just let it go, and I think soloing is a part of that. Soloing, like, rather than being like, oh, I gotta play this perfectly right, I don't want to miss this note. It's just whatever it is in that moment. And I love that for playing. Yeah.
How did you go from playing scales and with your chords to feeling a moment, as you're saying, and you're just improvising and letting it rip? How did you make that transition?
Oh yes, yeah. It's a long journey that's still occurring, and I don't know if it'll ever stop. But it yeah, once you get comfortable with your instrument, I feel like you can kind of get the muscle memory down of, okay, how far away are these notes both in my ear and on my hand? And when you're playing, you're thinking less and less the more you know these scales and these riffs that you're doing. You're thinking less about, okay, what's this note going to next? What's this note going to? And it starts to just be my body's making it happen. What am I going to add to it? So
Yeah.
it's kind of this thing where your brain and your body know it as almost like breathing or in meditation or something like a mantra. You keep coming back to that place of knowing, and then on top of that, you catch yourself in that present flow state and moment, and you challenge yourself to say, okay, what can my conscious brain lower down to unconscious and let flow from everything, not myself, but everything, life and consciousness entirely, and it really becomes kind of a really, really nice thing. I feel like where it's less about music, it's more about the experience of life in general, I guess.
What advice would you give somebody that's just starting out, young kid today that, sees their Ace Frehley or Jimmy Page and wants to become that? And the other question I have is what advice would you give for somebody that's been doing it their whole life who is kind of, 40 years in that they think, well, what else could I do to improve? What advice would you give to both sides of that spectrum?
Oh yes, yes. Well, for the younger kids, anyone who's or not even younger, just anyone who's starting on an instrument or was interested in starting on an instrument, the best thing in life for anything that you could tell yourself is try it. There's no pain and no hurting in trying it. If you try it, there's a great chance you're going to fall in love with it. And that's why I say just try it. Even if you're not sure if this is something that you would be interested in any way, like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to be a serious musician, or I don't want to perform, but it doesn't matter. You will never know where it's going to lead as long as you take the first step and try. And a lot of the times in anything in life, that first step is the hardest step just to get yourself to make it. So if you make that first step, if you can get past that first thing of picking up that guitar, you're already doing yourself such a huge favor, because after that, I mean, with the world we live in now, there's so many resources accessible, from online to people, even just YouTube. You can look up so many things about how to get the basics under your fingers, how to improvise, like there's backing tracks that exist where you can kind of solo and figure out how to improvise over stuff like that. And it's all so possible, and it's all truly so fun. It's such a feeling of accomplishment to be able to express yourself through an instrument. And I think anyone should give themselves that opportunity in life, especially if they don't have another artistic outlet that they're fully into. Music is such a good one. All you got to do is be able to make noise and express that noise that's coming from yourself. um, so I think that's what I would say for people starting out. But then for people going for it who have been in it for maybe, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 years, there is never, never, never a point where you should look at yourself and say, maybe I should do something else. Because then you're at that point, if you make that decision, you are cutting yourself off from any opportunity that can come from playing music. The Wayne Gretzky thing, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So you have to keep taking those shots. Once you made that first step that I talked about, that was the hardest step to make. So at this point, you ought to live up to it, because there's no point. You've gotten through the hardest part, which is starting. So keep going. It's from here on out. It's all about finding yourself through it. It's not about, is this wrong or right? You're right because you know how to play now. Now
Yeah.
it's about finding yourself and finding your niche, finding your people, and finding your scene. And a lot of the times it will evolve in ways that you never even knew. So if you're been playing music for 30, 40 years, and you're like, I really want to play these bigger venues and play my music out. You never know. There could be something else waiting for you. Like, what if your songs are really good, but your performance you're not so sure about? You start writing songs for other people. That person you're writing songs for gets a top 40 hit. You never know,
Right.
You gotta just keep trying and keep trying other things too. Is because when you try something, it opens up to those other things. Try those other things. It's a short life, and we gotta try all the cuisines of life.
There's a saying that comparison is the thief of joy. You've probably heard that before. And in the
Yes.
music world, I feel like you listen to somebody that's got an amazing voice. You mean, you think about Nashville and you go everywhere down there, it's wild, the music scene. Everybody's so talented. Even in our Philly area, the music scene, there's a lot of really good musicians. How important is it to just focus on staying in your lane and not comparing yourself to the people so you don't get discouraged? Even you, who
Yes.
I think is an amazing guitar player.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I think that's really everything. And of course, it's definitely a tougher bag these days, especially with things like social media, which is the grand comparison, if anything,
Yep.
Let me compare on social media, especially for my age group. We grew up we were so young when social media came out, and it was just this whole thing about I'm going to portray myself as this thing that I want to be, and I want everyone else to believe it. And that's kind of at least my age group, and a lot of even any age group, anyone that spends a lot of time on social media, you start to get into this weird thing about, okay, you feel like people on there are posting because they want to prove something, or and sometimes you find yourself posting something and you're like, is this even really what I feel, or am I just doing this because I want someone to think something about me? And that I think has been killing a lot of creative flow that can be really going on. I think if people took their phones and threw them in the woods and took on their artistic ability without any outer influence other than themselves and their experience of life, I think that we'd be seeing the most unique, personal, untethered art that can come from a person. Because at that point, there's no comparison. You're creating art from experience, and I think it's interesting to think about the time before phones and technology, when artists, I mean, anyone, I don't know, like Van Gogh, for example, he wasn't going on Instagram and being like,
Right.
"Oh man, Pollock, like he's posting this, so I got to go and do this too because Jackson Pollock's doing this, like I got to do it." And no, it was I'm gonna do this because this is me, and that's what it is. And I think the today it's an interesting spot to be in because a lot of, I guess specifically music in this case when we're talking about, a lot of it is just being recycled. It's a lot of people just kind of recycling the same vibe, the same structures, same chords because it works. It makes them money, and it gets a lot of plays, whatever. But I strongly think that where we're at with the technological side, not in social media, not in the social setting, but more so in the actual instrumentation, the production, anything that you're using to create art is such a high level right now. You can make things that have never even been perceived before, let alone heard or created. And I think it's that stuff, that type of art and that type of music where people are able to kind of let go of that expectation they're holding themselves to be like someone else, and they just say, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do my own path, I'm going to do my own thing, and I want to do something that's never been done before. I think that art is the art that is changing our world today. And I think that that's an important thing to remember, because it's like if you're comparing yourself constantly, you're not doing anything new. You're not adding to the palette of art here. And that's where I believe that the juice really lies, is when people go completely on their own path, completely unorthodox, and something completely off the path. That's usually, at least now in today's music or art, what is really hitting people. um that isn't like a top 40 hit, that's just on the radio. It's hitting people in an artistic setting, in an artistic way, where they're really feeling deeply impacted by this new thing. I think that's kind of the way to go. So it's like, if you feel like, oh, I can't do it like them, don't. You don't want to do it like them. Do it like you, because that's what's really gonna do it.
It's good advice, and I hope people are listening to that.
Hmm.
Kyle, tell me about your dreams you have for your music, dreams you have for your life. I want to hear about that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I've always, since I started playing music, I've definitely foreseen myself being someone that eventually can travel and bring my own version of my own experience through art, and share that through other people. And really, a big part of the journey I want to be on with the performing and traveling aspect is I love creating community, and I know as you do too, so we can relate on that. But anytime you could do anything that brings any number of people together. It could be you have a hang or something where you invite some people that have never met each other, and all of a sudden they're becoming friends, and that community is now growing, outside of just a friend group. It's a community. And same thing goes for music. I put together shows that have usually like 4 or 5 bands, and we'll include sometimes up to 100 vendors, depending on the venue. But we'll do like a festival style thing, and for that exact reason, I just love bringing everyone together, all the artists and the people that love the music, just giving them a purpose to come together and enjoy life at a very primal level, which is dancing and talking to other people and getting off of their phones and not thinking about work or social media for a bit and just letting loose and really just grooving out. And that's a lot of why I do love playing music, is because I love to go and bring those spaces wherever I go and kind of free people of these gestalts that kind of go on from day-to-day life that really build up inside of us and kind of bury our expression, and and I think within expression is happiness and freedom. So I think that my dream is to be able to go around and through the sounds, through my stage presence on stage and running around on stage and jumping all around, to break people out of that mold and free and kind of free them into this very very beautiful thing that we're in here, because it's once we all have those moments where you kind of wake up in very pure presence of where we're at, and it's absolutely beautiful. And so I feel like my purpose in life is to wake people up to that presence and get people on it together to where it just grows like a chain reaction, and the darkness will kind of lift a little bit, by little bit. So
Mm.
I think that's a big part of my dream, is just fostering great community anywhere I go and connecting more dots.
I love that. The idea of community. I think we all long for that. And we long for
Mhm.
connection and purpose and fulfillment. So that's really neat that that's such a dream of yours. Kyle, question for you. Do you guys also do art? Because I'm going to share your website now, and I'm looking at some art on the website.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's one of the cooler things about Riko and Whaler Collective, my band. We since the very beginning, we in that same vein, yeah, you got it there. In that same vein as talking about um how I love to create collective, we wanted to have as many of our artists that we believe in and we want to support be a part of the group however they can. And a lot of that their mediums are through art. So we incorporate a lot of visual artists, a lot of photographers, a lot of videographers, and we'll invite them to our shows, and we consider them a part of the collective, even a part of the band, really. Um, and we all will collaborate through that art, at these events that we're setting up or the shows that we're playing. It kind of gives us an opportunity to all work together to create something that we wouldn't then only be able to create by ourselves. Um, so yeah, we have a couple people who do tie dyes, who are some of the best in the country at tie dyes, and they do custom dyes for us. We have a liquid light show team known as Crazy Guys Liquid Light, who
Hmm.
do the actual old school 60s light shows with the oil and the water and the projectors, and they'll come to our shows, and that's become a staple for sure. But yeah, as you see, as on the website there, we have tons of good, I feel like good quality photos, because we just have so many people along in the collective that love to use us as kind of their subjects in their art, and we give back with that. We share, we advertise it, and that's kind of the idea behind the collective, is that anyone who's a part of this kind of spontaneous evolving creation is truly a part of it, just as much as in the band as the people performing on stage. And we get into that too. Like we we also will, sometimes we'll help out with the shirts and stuff, but we also do our paintings, and we paint our instruments a lot. Like I have my guitar fully painted. My Epiphone Les Paul I spoke about, that used to be that Ace Frehley, Jimmy Page look, now has a very more Eric Clapton and Cream psychedelic paint job that I've had since high school, that has kind of become a part of the band as well. And my bandmate Whaler with his guitar also painted it. So we're just very very into the expression and into the art, and like I said, the collective, it comes right back to it. It's kind of how we involve everyone. Yeah.
It's really cool. So talking about community, you are going to again be playing at the annual F4 Westchester Chili Cook-Off, which will be
Oh yeah.
October 12th this year. It's the second
Yes.
Sunday of October in downtown Westchester, and you'll be playing between Gay and Church Street.
Oh yeah.
Tell us about why you and the band wanted to do this last year, why you wanted to do it again, and why it's important to you guys.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, first off, I mean, growing up in Westchester, the chili cook-off has always been such a cool thing, and it seems like it's just been growing every year. And we, knowing that F4 got involved too, I think that was definitely one of the bigger kickers for us because knowing just what F4 does for our community, not only but just for so many communities all around, like greater distances every year, but. Um, once I saw that F4 was involved too, I knew that was going to be a very community driven event, which, like I said, is what I'm all about. It's going to be about giving back. It's going to be a very kind, a very loving energy event because that's anything I've ever done that's been involved with F4. Even just meeting you at that tee what was it? Tee it up? Yeah, tee it up
Tee it
show.
up
It
golf.
was it
Yeah.
was always everyone just always immediately treats each other like family
Yes.
and that's what it is. And so I knew that vibe was going to be perfectly in the vibe of what we love to be at too, and what we love to foster our community into. And it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect last year. We played a while. Lots of people were buying our shirts and were supporting us, and following our Instagram and saying, "Oh, we're gonna come see you guys." And that's all we could ever ask for is just real good people coming out. And like I said, F4 always seems to foster that type of curates that kind of space. So we're just very, very stoked to be a part of that, and of course wanted to be a part of it again this year. And from what we've been hearing, it's going to be even bigger and better than before. So we're ready to take it to the next level. And I think Westchester is going to be really, really surprised with the event that's going on here. I think it's going to be the event of the year, really.
Oh, that's awesome, Kyle. Well, we appreciate your support. And at the end of the day, we want to create awareness around hunger and food insecurity because so many people are struggling these days. And
Right.
our vision is to create a world without hunger. Whether it's achievable or not, it's a different story. But the pursuit of feeding people, we can change one life, then we're going to do it. And that's our philosophy and mentality. And more than just food, we want to spread love and hope. We want people to believe in themselves. That's why I asked you about what are your dreams,
That's
because I
right.
think people need to dream. And I
And
remember,
you guys are often giving people, a lot of people who may have had a rougher road or a rougher way of getting there, but you're giving them the strength directly to get to that point to achieve their dreams, and it's at the most like basic fundamental human level. You guys are giving them that first step that we talked about, and I'll always appreciate that for doing that for both our communities and others. It makes such a huge difference, really.
well, thanks, Kyle. Well, we're really looking forward to having you at the event. So let's figure out where can people find you. You mentioned Instagram, so we'll pull up that page.
Sure, yeah. That's our Instagram page there,
You can,
slowly growing.
yeah, there you go.
We post a lot of our updates on Instagram. Definitely the most active on our Instagram page. We post all of our dates we're playing. We post a lot of our cool art pictures and videos of us live. You can kind of see what we're all about. We love to move around on stage. We're a very energetic band, so if you love to dance, you got to come and dance with us.
There you go.
But yeah, a lot of the updates go on there. We also are streaming all of our music currently on all streaming platforms. That would be Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon Music, Pandora, whatever you use. We're there. If you look up Riko with a K and Whaler, so that's Riko and Whaler. And then all of our socials, we go under the name Riko and Whaler Collective, which is also what we perform live as. Kind of going back to that collective aspect. We love to kind of that when we perform live we add that collective aspect because we love to have kind of a rotating cast of people come in and out so the shows are never quite the same. They'll always be similar in the mystique but never the same in the notes or the songs played, so that's another interesting thing about why we love to have so many people and artists involved. It keeps it very fresh.
Okay, great. So people can find you right from your website, ricoandwhalercollective.com. And then from there at
That's
the
right.
top, you've got your Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. Everything is accessible. You can kind of see everything
That's
right
right.
from the page.
Yes, our website is our one-stop shop, and I made that from my I made that from my hands like in high school. So enjoy.
You made the website personally?
Well, it's actually it's through I don't know if you know about the Wix
Yeah, yeah,
sites.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you put it
Um,
together.
I put it together. Yes.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
A lot goes into it. See, sometimes people don't realize how much goes into these types of
It's tough.
things. Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah, being an artist nowadays, you are truly full-time creator, full-time promoter, full-time marketing and content creator. You are everything today if you're an artist, but that's why we do it. It's fun.
What's the hardest part about being an artist right now?
Oh man. That's a great question. Uh I would say honestly yes. The biggest problem right now is going to be in my opinion the money. And I say that it seems like an obvious answer, but money problems have been becoming a larger and larger issue for artists as things are kind of taken away that would give artists opportunities to make a living wage. Maybe before a lot of the technology that we kind of had today, which is kind of a weird downside of that technology thing we were talking about, where things like streaming services like Spotify and all that. I don't know if you guys know this, but they pay artists less than a cent per stream that they get. So an artist, I guess the hard part here being an artist can put so much of their heart, blood, sweat, and tears into these projects that they do, and they could be getting even a decent amount of streams. They can get 20,000 people listening to their music, where, oh, wow, 20,000 people have heard my music, and they're not making anything. They're not making enough money to go get lunch, like let alone like pay for rent. While before streaming services and stuff like that were around, 20,000 people buying your records? Are you kidding me? You're rich. They're buying the whole record. They're buying it full price. But nowadays a lot of it is just coming to people, the habits at least of what I learned about are people like to listen to one single song, they'll add it to their playlist and that's cool. But that's also affected how we see albums also nowadays. Albums do not come out as much as they used to unless there's a huge budget, and that's because a lot of people, they don't go through whole albums and then listen to it, because on streaming it's so easy to just click 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 click, as opposed to back then you throw on a tape or throw on a record, it's the whole thing. You hear the whole thing. You're paying for that artist's full work. Um, so that being an issue is trying to navigate kind of how to make money and how to maybe be able to hold two part-time jobs at the same time as being a musician, which is what I do right now. To be able to give yourself that little push on top of gigging and stuff like that, if you're a gigging performing musician or band, to be able to just make ends meet, and not giving up on that sense, when it gets tough and seems a little tight at times with money and stuff, is knowing that you can't give up, because if that daunts you, you're never going to be able to get to the point of the flow, that flow state. If everything in life is always going to be daunting in one way or another, but I do think that music is quite daunting. It's a little extra daunting in that way, or the money is just not there in an easy way. And a lot of people see the way to beat that as just selling out. Go go get someone to write your music, sell your stuff to a publishing rights, or get a manager that you don't really know, but he's going to book you good gigs and make you money. But a lot of that stuff that happens when people kind of sell their artistry for that money is, yeah, okay, they might make more money, but then that level of where that art is coming from their heart is lessening and lessening and lessening as they're getting told what's going to make them money, what to do. Write this or play this song that this person wrote for you, and it becomes less and less about that flow state that you get from that full expression and that full presence in life, and it becomes this job that you wish you never had. And I say that you got to stay true to yourself through any financial anything. Money kills art, and you just got to fight through it. You block it out, make music for you.
Yeah. That's a really, well, it's sad state of affairs, but it's a really well said. You did a good job articulating the struggle and the challenge that musicians face today. And I'm sure there's a lot of musicians that are going to listen to this and going to echo that sentiment. And like you said, it's those gigs are probably where you're going to have a better chance to make more money, but it's difficult today because those mediums to earn are not as readily available as they used to be.
Right. But it's also changing over time. You know, a lot of people are starting to speak up, which I think is very good. And there's a lot of platforms that are starting to come out, such as like Bandcamp, where they do allow you to fully. Sometimes they allow you to name your price, which I think is cool because it's like tipping a musician, which is better than getting paid by Spotify, literally, but like
Yeah.
financially. But they allow you to buy the stuff. They can, like I said, you can name your price, or you could buy it at the price of which they listed at. And so I think little by little, that the more that the artists kind of get together and work together to support each other and to kind of break the mold of the easy way, which is, like for a lot of people, like streaming and stuff like that, like slowly breaking the mold. A lot of bigger artists are taking their stuff off of Spotify to kind of bring that message that Spotify is not being fair to artists and stuff like that. So I think, but the more that that kind of narrative happens, and the more that people are waking up to what's going on, I do think there could be change, because at some point it can't just be forever like that. People will revolt.
Yeah. You mentioned, and maybe we'll close on this, but you mentioned the hook and like the idea, like people listen to one song because it's
Yes.
catchy or whatever, it pulls you in. But I have always enjoyed listening to when I know like there's a band I like one or two of their songs. I like to listen to some of the more obscure ones, and a good example is like Tom Petty. I love Tom Petty, but I think everybody knows his like main songs like Free Fallin' and
Yeah.
American Girl.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of songs that people don't know, like King's Highway, for example, where
Very cool.
or Walls, like
Yes.
where they're more obscure, but they're amazing. And I feel like
Yes.
if you open yourself up to it, just because something hasn't been promoted and sold a million singles, there's a lot of really good value in that content too.
So good. And there's so much good stuff out there today. And it's interesting because it's like you won't find it in that same way that you may have, like, even 20 years ago. It's harder to find that music because it's not getting promoted, it's not getting pushed, it's not getting talked about. It's that kind of cookie cutter stuff that's easy to push because anyone can dig it. And to an extent that's totally cool because anyone who can dig music, great. But it's when it kills people's artistic
Yeah.
kind of integrity. That's where I think the issue is now kind of presenting itself. And I think as listeners, yeah, it's also a good thing to kind of challenge ourselves when we're
Yes.
listening to music to go deeper. Because like you said, even
Yes.
someone like Tom Petty, like super, super famous, but there's songs that are unknown and they're incredible. And it's like,
Hey,
imagine all the artists out there today where it's like, oh, this person has 20 Spotify listeners. Like, a lot of people are thinking, like, oh, well, they're not good because they don't have listeners. I'm not going to listen to that. Boom. But what happens if you click their music? It's the best song you've ever heard. Like, you never
yeah.
know?
Yeah, being open-minded, I think, is so important.
So important.
I'm 100% with you. Well, Kyle, this has been a lot of fun. I think what I'd like to
Yeah.
do as we get ready to close up here is any parting words for our audience, any inspiration, any encouragement, anything you want to share about the band, go for it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, check out Riko and Whaler Collective. We'll be all around Westchester, Philly, all the time. So Long Surfer. If you love the Beatles or the Beach Boys, you got to check us out. Um, we're streaming everywhere, both bands. Don't listen on Spotify. I'm just kidding. You can listen on Spotify, but you can listen anywhere. And yeah, I said the socials and everything. And yeah, man, we're just here, just trying to bring people to presence, and that's all I could ask for from anyone is take a little bit time today, any day, take some time for yourself and just be present, and just take some breaths and appreciate all the beauty around you and the beautiful people in your life. Um, take a moment to say hi to someone today or shake someone's hand, tell them that they got a good energy to them. It all makes a big difference. That's the kind of stuff we need in this world. So thank you, Derek. Thank you for talking and um, having a this space for artists like myself to come and chat, and it's great. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing your dreams and also your backstory because I think there's a lot of people that'll hear this and be very inspired. Don't compare yourself to the people, but seek inspiration in the achievement of others because a lot of times that can spur you on when you are feeling dejected or down or sad or depressed or lonely and
Right.
you just don't have that extra gas in the tank. Sometimes looking at somebody else's progress and success can actually help you because if they could do it, why can't you?
Right. That's exactly right. We're all, at the end of the day, we're all human, and if something is possible, then it is entirely possible, and
Yes,
you just gotta be who you want to be, and then that's who you will become.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
Kyle, I appreciate you being on the F4 Hunger Awareness Show. Thank you for joining us. If you're listening on Spotify or YouTube, please subscribe to the F4 Hunger Awareness Show. I'm Derek Fiorenza, and today our special guest was Kyle Ciarrocchi of Riko and Whaler and
So long, surfer.
So Long Surfer.
It's a
Thank
mouthful.
you. Yeah, there you go. Thank you for being with us, Kyle, and we look forward to
Thanks.
seeing everybody again soon. Thank you.
All right.